Before the world of combat became a spectacle of pay-per-views and social media call-outs, there was a different code. It was an era etched in the grainy film of 80s and 90s action movies, a time of titans. Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme. They were mountains of muscle and charisma. But among them walked a different kind of predator. A man who didn't just play a hero, he was built on the foundations of a discipline thousands of years old. Steven Seagal. The name itself carries the weight of an entire genre. His films were not about surviving the fight. They were about ending it with brutal efficiency. He was different. His movements were a blur of motion. A flurry of wrist locks and joint manipulations that seemed both impossible and terrifyingly real. Because, for him, they were. Long before Hollywood called, he had disappeared into the heart of martial arts itself. In the 1970s, he journeyed to Japan, not as a tourist, but as a student. He immersed himself in the world of Aikido, a discipline built on redirecting an opponent's energy. He didn't just learn it, he lived it, training 4 hours a day, eventually earning a 7th Dan black belt. He accomplished something unheard of. He became the first non-Japanese person to operate his own Aikido dojo in Japan, a place called Tenshin in Osaka. He was a master, not by his own declaration, but by the standards of the very culture that created the art. He was a keeper of an ancient flame. But flames fade. And in the modern world, history is a ghost, easily forgotten. The world of combat sports has changed. The quiet dignity of the dojo has been replaced by the roar of the arena and the bright, chaotic lights of live television. Honor has been traded for followers, respect for retweets. Today's fighters are brands, their battles promoted through trash talk and manufactured outrage. It is a world of spectacle, and in a world of spectacle, a man like Steven Seagal is an echo, a half-forgotten legend from a time that no longer seems to matter. To the new generation, he is a movie star from their father's generation, a meme, a relic. They see the films, but they don't understand the foundation beneath them. They see the performance, but they are blind to the decades of discipline that forged the man. They mistake the stillness for slowness, the silence for weakness. They have forgotten that the most dangerous predators are the ones who make no sound. Tonight, the WW Arena is a cathedral of wrestling history. It's the annual Legends ceremony, a night of reverence. The stage is filled with icons. Men whose faces are etched into the Mount Rushmore of the sport. They are the brawlers. The technicians, the giants who built this empire with their own blood and sweat. In their midst, a special guest sits in the front row. An outsider from a different world of combat, Steven Seagal. He's dressed in a simple black silk jacket, his presence an island of profound stillness in an ocean of pageantry. He doesn't crave the spotlight, he absorbs it. He nods respectfully to the legends he passes, his face impassive. This is a man who has built a life on discipline, not applause. He takes his seat, a silent observer in a world that has learned to scream. A tribute video for a fallen hero ends. The applause is warm, genuine. But before the next legend can be honored, a brash and welcome music screeches through the PA system. Out from the tunnel struts Maverick Jax, the current United States champion. He is the perfect product of the new era, all bleached hair, neon tights, and a microphone held like a weapon. He is oozing with an inherent confidence that only youth and ignorance can provide. He dismisses the legends on stage with a casual, disrespectful wave of his hand. He mocks their age, their slower style, their bygone era. The crowd's adoring cheers quickly sour into a chorus of boos, but the noise only feeds his ego. He paces the ring like a caged animal, his eyes scanning the front row, looking for a target to amplify his own importance. And then, his eyes land on Seagal. A smug, predatory smirk spreads across Maverick's face. He points the microphone at Seagal. And look here, we even got a real movie star gracing us with his presence. Mr. Hollywood himself. Steven Seagal. The crowd murmurs, a mix of intrigue and disgust at the disrespect. Maverick continues, his voice dripping with condescension. Tell me, Stevie, how does it feel to be your own real fighters? Not stuntmen and choreographers who get paid to fall down for you. These guys, he says, gesturing to the legends on stage, at least they took real bumps in their day. You just play pretend. That Aikido stuff is just a fancy dance for the cameras, isn't it? The audience gives a scattered and comfortable laugh. All eyes turn to Seagal. He does not move. He does not speak. He does not even blink. His gaze is level, not with anger, but with an unnerving, profound calm. It's a look that sees through the posturing, through the character, and into the insecure young man playing a part. Maverick's smile falters for a fraction of a second. The lack of a reaction is more infuriating than any shouted retort. He slides out of the ring, his entourage of two other young wrestlers flanking him like vultures. He gets right in Seagal's face, close enough to feel his breath. "What's the matter, old man? Cat got your tongue? Or are you just scared? Maybe you're worried you can't hang in a world where we don't yell cut." Seagal's eyes remain fixed, but his mind is a million miles away. It's not a wrestling arena, it's a hardwood dojo in Osaka. The scent of wood and sweat. The sharp, percussive crack of a wrist lock echoing in the disciplined quiet. A memory surfaces, the voice of his master, a man who taught that the loudest man in the room is always the weakest. The discipline of 1,000 falls, of 1,000,000 repetitions, holds him in his chair, a statue of pure composure. He thinks of an old truth, a mantra of his world. You don't retire honor. You wear it. Enraged by the wall of silence, Maverick snaps. You know what? I'm sick of looking at you. You come into our house, acting like you belong here. I think you're a fraud. And I think it's time someone exposed you. He turns back toward the ring and gestures grandly. So, I want to offer you a personal invitation. Come on into my world. Just for a moment. My boys will even hold the ropes for you. Make it easy on those old knees. His two goons climb onto the apron, pulling the top and middle ropes apart in a gesture of utter mockery. Don't worry, Maverick sneers, his voice echoing through the hushed arena. We won't hurt you much. Just show us one of your movie tricks. Show us something real. The challenge hangs in the air. A blatant, public dare. The arena is dead silent. Every fan, every wrestler, every official holds their breath. It has gone beyond entertainment. It has become a question of honor. For a long, impossibly tense moment, Seagal remains seated. The world waits. Then, with a slow, deliberate, almost ceremonial motion, he begins to move. He doesn't rise with aggression, but with a sense of crushing inevitability. He methodically unbuttons his silk jacket and drapes it over the back of his chair with the care of a man preparing for prayer. He stands, and in that moment, he is not a 70-year-old man. He is a master of his craft, assuming his posture. He turns and faces the ring. He doesn't look at Maverick. He looks at the canvas. The empty space, his future stage. Some debts are paid in silence. The walk to the ring feels like the longest in WWE history. Each step is measured, powerful, silent. It is not a walk of steps, but of decades. The first step is leaving America. The next is stepping into a dojo in Japan. Another is the sting of prejudice as a foreigner trying to prove his worth. Another is the weight of earning his black belt, of commanding the respect of the very masters of the art. The only sound is the roar of the crowd, which has transformed from a jeer into a tidal wave of pure, unadulterated anticipation. He reaches the ring but ignores the offered ropes held by the goons, with the practiced grace of a man who has entered spaces of combat his entire life. He steps cleanly through the middle and bottom ropes and onto the canvas. Inside the ring, Maverick Jax is giddy. He has his prize. He dances around Seagal, throwing mock jabs, playing to the crowd. Here he is, folks. The action hero. Let's see what you've got, old-timer. His two goons begin to circle from behind, ready to swarm their prey. Maverick throws a wild, telegraphed right hand, a showman's punch meant for the cameras. What follows is not a fight. It is a lesson. Seagal doesn't block the punch, he blends with it. In a movement too quick to be properly seen, he enters the attack, redirecting Maverick's momentum. One hand gently guides the fist past his head while the other finds the wrist. Small, almost imperceptible twist of his body and a turn of the joints sends Maverick stumbling forward. His own force used against him. Before Maverick can even process what happened, the first goon attacks from behind. Seagal, without turning his head, pivots on his heel. He uses the man's charging energy to execute a perfect throw, sending him flipping over his shoulder to crash hard onto the mat. The second goon hesitates for a fatal second, then charges. Seagal meets him with a simple, brutal joint lock on the elbow, forcing him to his knees instantly, his face a mask of agony. In under 5 seconds, both henchmen are neutralized. Now, only Maverick remains. He stands there, stunned, the arrogance in his eyes finally replaced by a dawning, primal fear. He scrambles to his feet and lunges, not to fight, but to tackle, a desperate act of brute force. Seagal doesn't move back. He moves forward, stepping into the attack and applying a chokehold that is both swift and absolute. There is no struggle, no flailing. Maverick's hands immediately slap the mat in a desperate, frantic tap-out. Seagal holds the choke for a single, silent second longer, a punctuation mark, then releases him. Maverick crumples to the canvas, gasping for air he no longer deserves. Steven Seagal stands in the center of the ring, his breathing utterly unchanged. He looks down at the 3 men laid out around him, his expression not of triumph, but of finality. He calmly adjusts the cuff of his shirt. He hasn't uttered a single sound. The arena, which had been at a fever pitch, is once again in a state of stunned, disbelieving silence. Then, a single fan in the upper deck begins to clap. Another joins, and another, and then another, until a wave of thunderous, respectful applause washes over the entire building. The legends on the stage are on their feet, not cheering, but nodding in solemn approval. A warrior's acknowledgement. He said nothing, but everyone heard him. Seagal gives a subtle, respectful bow to the crowd, then exits the ring as cleanly as he entered it. He walks back to his chair, retrieves his silk jacket, and slips it on as if nothing happened. He did not speak, but the world listened. As Seagal disappears backstage, the commentary team struggles to find words. I don't know what we just witnessed," one stammers. "That wasn't a wrestling match. That was a dismantling," the other adds, his voice hushed with awe. "This is a world of spectacle, of larger-than-life characters." But tonight, spectacle ran headfirst into reality. A truth settled over the arena, a lesson learned in the most brutal and silent way possible. In their arrogance, they forgot who they were mocking. They invited a master of a deadly art into their world of entertainment, and for 30 seconds, the entertainment stopped. Tonight, they were all given a stark and unforgettable reminder of the difference between a man who plays a fighter and a man who is one.